Hello, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome to the Arrowhead Kingdom Chiefs cast live from the Wolf Den. I'm Chris.
And I'm Josh, and today we're going to be talking about some fun stuff related to the Chiefs. Big reminder that all fans are invited to join us for game day. Visit arrowheadkingdom.org to learn more about the group and to find your local chapter. Also, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, which is, of course, presented by Complete Weddings and Events, your leading provider of photo, video, DJ, photo booth, lighting, and coordination services. Visit them at completewedo.com.
All right, today we'll be talking about your Kansas City Chiefs with Dan Kersting. Welcome, Dan.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, you bet. All right, let's get right into the questions. So, what do you do for work? Why are you here?
I am here because I am the scoreboard operator at Arrowhead Stadium for the Chiefs. I started in 2001 when the Wizards soccer team was playing there, and a friend of mine had the job, and he had twins, and his wife said he couldn't do it anymore, and he asked my brother-in-law, do you know anybody like Dan who would want to do this? And he's like, well, I'll just ask Dan. And so I started doing like the message boards, the old matrix boards there at the stadium. And then when football season started, they were like, do you want to do the football games too? And I was like, that sounds great. So I started with there, and I did the matrix board and the LED ribbon, like the Get Loud ribbon, for about 15 years. And then a few years back, they asked me if I wanted to do the scoreboard because I needed someone that could be there every day. And I said, sure, I'll do the scoreboard. So I do the scoreboard. I do everything but the clock. So
Got it.
I get a lot of people that give me grief about like clock issues, and I'm like, no, everything but the clock.
So who actually does the clock? Is that a member of the Chiefs organization, or is that somebody that the NFL brings in?
It's somebody with the NFL.
Official?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, I mean, he does work with the Chiefs. I think he's there every game, but I believe he's paid by the NFL to do it.
Got it. So
he's in a different booth than me too.
Got it. So it is truly an isolated, like controlled by the league type of situation. So there's really no such thing of any kind of, we'll call them, like hype that the local team can sit there and affect the clock, all
yeah,
like
no,
Belichick accusations.
Yeah, there's no slow clocks at certain points and quick, stoppage of time. So no, the guy's really good, and he does a pretty good job, and he takes it pretty seriously. So it's pretty good.
Got it. So you basically just fell into this job by just random people.
Yeah, people ask me all the time, how do you get the job? And I'm like, I'm just lucky. Just fell in my lap. I wasn't even a Chiefs fan at the time. Now I'm a huge Chiefs fan. Being from Wisconsin, I was a Packers fan, and I love the Packers. And then once they offered me the job, I'm like, well, my job is to help the Chiefs win. So I'm a Chiefs fan, and I've been kind of all in ever since. So
this reminds me of Conan O'Brien. Someone was asking Conan like that they wanted to get into broadcast television or some sort of television show, and they asked Conan, so how did you get into this? And Conan's response is always, that's like asking me, how do you get hit by an asteroid? I don't know how. I just happened. I was in the right place, and then I was in the time. And I like how someone was looking around and they were asking, they're like describing you to a T, but not saying you. Like,
yeah,
right, he has that brown hair, really intelligent, name rhymes with Pan, or how about me?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, okay, here I am.
That's awesome. So is it a complicated program that you have to run, or is this just something controlled by a PC and you have
it? Yeah, it's not even a PC. It's like it's the company's Daktronics. It's like a little module, like a little console in front. It's kind of similar to what they have at, like, you'll see them like high school football games, baseball stadium, like like little league games that have clocks. It's not that complicated. It's just, I mean, it's a little bit bigger than a keyboard, but it's nothing complicated. I just push the buttons and it loads up. It actually, when people see it, they're surprised that it's maybe is not as modern as you would think it would be. Like the LED ribbons that they do, like that stuff's really modern, and they do a really good job. But my console's basically like any other scoreboard.
So Dan, you said you started back in 2001, so you're there before the renovation. They still had, I guess, the old digital scoreboards back then.
Yeah, I had to do the whole. It was like a matrix board, so I had to get there like 3 hours early, build messages for the game. There'd be like maybe a prize giveaway, and I had to put down section 303, row 12, seat 13 or whatever, and do all that. And it was pretty that was pretty old. I mean, the old black and white board, but yeah, that's how it was.
So you had to be more prepared in that situation than you do now with the current technology.
Yeah, I mean, for the game, like before, like when I did the LEDs in the matrix board, I got there 3 hours early, and I went through the script. I got all my hot buttons to push, for touchdowns. We made a special one for Dante Hall when he was returning punts. Like a little Dante. Yeah, I had the X Factor stuff. I had to build. I had to build methods. Like when somebody, this is kind of embarrassing, but like the year that Priest Holmes broke the rushing record, they had me build the thing. It says, congratulations, Priest Holmes, on breaking the NFL record for most touchdowns in a season. And when he did break it, I put the message up there, and my boss Sheldon at the time goes, "Take it down." And I took it down. He's like, "You spelled Priest wrong." And I'm like, "Oh no." So I never did that again. I never had that problem again. So
that was your only spelling error, his Priest.
That was my only. Yeah, I'm not a very strong speller, but that was pretty. I never got called out on it, so nobody ever said anything. But I was worried that on inside the NFL, they were gonna say like Priest Holmes broke the record, and even people in Kansas City, if they couldn't spell his name, knew that he was the all-time leader or whatever.
The misspelled game. About that. They'll go down in history as the misspelled game or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little pre-social media, thankfully. I mean, I think social media is a great and a horrible thing. Brian made comments at one point. He's like, I feel like if there were video cameras when we were in college, we would probably have more trouble getting jobs now.
Oh yeah. No, there's no doubt about that. Yeah. I'm sure that I'm sure somebody would have taken out their camera phone and taken a picture of that sign, and it would have been all over the place, and I would have felt dumber than I already feel. Like, 18 years later, I still feel dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that we could have, as Chiefs fans, leaned in and been like, it was just an ode to the chefs. What are you talking about? It's Pressed
exactly.
Holmes.
Great oogly moogly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, is that the biggest hiccup you've ever had doing this?
Yeah, I think that was. I mean, that's pretty bad. There have been times where, like with the scoreboard now, where like the Chiefs Bills game a couple years ago, not the world's greatest game, not the greatest game in NFL history, but the year before, there was a play where late in the first quarter or second quarter, where Sean McDermott walked all the way down the line and was like calling timeout, and so I put down that the Bills called a timeout, and I watched the game on TV later, and even like Tony Romo was like, "Oh, the Bills called a timeout." Find out, like 5 minutes later, that the Chiefs called timeout like a split second first. So I messed that up, where I didn't have the right timeouts up there. I felt better when I watched the game tape later that like Tony Romo said the same thing, like, our Bills called a timeout, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But I still felt dumb because I don't like making any mistakes at all.
Well, sure, but I mean, Tony Romo is a good company to be in when you're doing that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like Newfound Glory said, being wrong never felt so right.
Yeah, good company at least, so no problem.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So for the most part, you can sit and make messages and stuff on the go and be pretty quick draw with new stuff these days and the new technology.
That's what they do. Yeah. Usually what they have is, for the LED people, they'll have them build stuff during the week. Like they have like interns that come in, and they have a full-time staff that works and gets messages all ready. So most of the stuff is pre-ready to go. So, if Travis Kelce catches a touchdown, there'll be a special touchdown Travis Kelce button. For me, for doing the scoreboard, I basically just put like, I'll click the button and say, ball on 46-yard line going this way, first down. And then the next play, it'll be like gain of 2 yards, and I'll just put the ball on 48-yard line, and it'll say, 2nd and 8, and make sure that I have it correctly, and I'll just hit enter and push it through.
Got it. So how close are you sitting to the in stadium announcers and like the music guy and stuff like that?
I'm pretty close to them. So we're way on top of the stadium in the new renovated the penthouse area where the media sits, and we're at the far end. I'm the radio or the TV, sorry, the PA announcers are at the very end calling the game, and then one step over, I'm doing the LED operator and me are in that next booth, and then there's like a penthouse level that's right in between, and then down they have like the visiting coaches, the home coaches, and then they have like the home radio and visiting radio, and then at the far end, the far left end, they have all the media that comes in from ESPN and advanced scouting and things like that.
Got it. And that was actually going to be my next question is who do you interact with from like the rest of the staff, the players, coaches? I mean, it sounds like you're a stone's throw from Holtis, which is cool.
Yeah, so we see him pretty much every game, and he's a really nice guy. He's super intense. Like the guy that you hear on the radio is that guy. Like he's amped up. It's hard to not be pumped up when you see him. He'll come in the booth and talk to my bosses. I have 4 bosses: Rob Ellerino, Kristen Pugh, Anna Topkin, and Brad Young. And he'll come in there and talk to them before the game. Like we'll see him, like, if I have to use the restroom at halftime, I'll see him there. But he's usually walking all around, and he's just, yeah. So I see him, Dana Hughes. I used to see Glenn Dawson all the time, Kendall Gammon when he did it. And then usually we can see, the visiting radio or visiting, like preseason, the visiting TV people, they'll be up there as well.
Got it. Yeah. And so you're able to kind of let stuff go during halftime so you can relax a little bit. Do you have like a playlist, for lack of better terminology? I mean, this kind of sounds like when I DJ weddings and stuff like that, you throw on Paradise by the Dashboard Light so you can use the bathroom, do you have something like that?
No, when I did the LED board, usually I would hope they would have something like, jazzercise or youth football, so I could have like 8 minutes of just push a button that's going to run the ribbon.
Sure.
When I'm at halftime, I have nothing to do. I can just get up for the 13 minutes and go get some food, get something to drink, use the restroom, kind of walk around, just kind of, because I get pretty intense when I do it, so I kind of need that break and walk away. I might just like walk down to the far end and just walk back, maybe grab something to eat.
You ever like reluctantly, like whenever the opposing team scores a touchdown, you're like, oh God, I have to push this right now.
Yeah, I do get a little upset about that. Yeah, I'm like, God dang, I gotta hit the +6 visitor button. I don't like that. It's not very fun. That's not very fun.
Like I'll be texting you, Dan, like, hey Dan, don't push that field goal. Just let's let that go. We can get away with that, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna push it aside. Yeah, no, we're still up by we're still up by 2. We're good.
Yeah, I'm sure the Scott Pioli era was probably a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, there were some rough years in the middle. Like there were some. I started in 2001, and they didn't win a playoff game until much
2015.
Yeah, it was a long time. Yeah. We had some pretty. It was pretty rough. Yeah, the Pioli years, the Todd Haley years. They weren't the most fun games to work. It's pretty fun right now.
It's really cool that you get to be a fan while you're doing it. And let's kind of get into a little other fandom. Bill Simmons is a sports writer for ESPN forever. He's somebody that I've always loved, author. Now he has his own site, The Ringer, and everything. And he doesn't really write columns anymore. But one of my favorite columns that he ever did was about sports bigamy, where you like more than one team for any given sport. So you're from Wisconsin, and I know you mentioned having some love for the Packers. So you're a born and bred sports bigamist. So how does that work? I mean, well, it seems like the Chiefs are your favorite team.
The Chiefs are definitely my favorite team. I'll want the Packers to win when they're playing the 30 other teams, but when they play the Chiefs, there's no doubt. Like I had a friend when the Packers were undefeated. They were that the 14-0 team that came in town. They played the Packers played here. My friend came in town and he's like, "Who do you want to win the game?" I said, "My job is to help the Chiefs win. Like I'm hitting the get loud button. I'm hitting the defense button. My job is to help the Chiefs win, and I'm all for helping the Chiefs win." So, there's no debate. Like I have friends that are like, you sure don't want the Packers to win? I'm like, I'm positive I don't want the Packers to win. Like I gave away all my Packers hats. I gave away all my shirts, everything I had. Someone offered me a Packers hat last week, and I'm like, I I don't. First of all, I don't really wear hats, but second of all, I'm not going to wear a Packers hat. Nothing against the Packers. I'm just, I have my team and I'm all in. So
Every time I see the Get Loud, I think of Jimmy Kimmel because when he goes, his sign for applause, it says "applaud, clap, you bastards." It'd always be funny if like the Get Loud, like "Get loud, you assholes."
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking to myself. I was saying, "Get loud, you asshole." Like, yes, sir, I'm gonna get loud now.
Yeah,
please
so I mean
just get loud.
That game was phenomenal when the Chiefs ruined the Packers season. It was a great time to work in the Milwaukee Tool office, because I mean I sat there and just got hammered by everybody the entire season, and then that was the one little bit of glory that myself and one other Kansas City fan had or whatever. But I mean, I do have to say, so you were part of the team responsible for the Romeo Crennel era, because there was no way in hell that guy gets the permanent job without
to win that game. Yep.
Win, yeah. But it's like the Rascal Flatts said, "God bless the broken road that led us to Patrick Mahomes and the Super Bowl championship and everything." So it all makes sense, and it's all
Josh,
fine.
are you gonna quote your entire wedding playlist tonight during this interview?
I might.
First off, I know you don't play "Bless the Broken Road." You don't like Rascal Flatts at weddings. I should take that back because I know.
No, okay. So Brian, hold on. That song's a banger. That's one of the best slow songs that exists. It's up there with "I Cross My Heart," and I would say that it's still a popular first dance song if we want to really get into it.
It really is.
Okay. But right. Anyway.
Excuse us. Sorry. Back to what we were talking about.
But yeah. So you kept your Wisconsin sports fandom with the Brewers and Bucks, right?
Yeah. The Brewers are my favorite team since I was a little kid. I don't know if I would rather the Brewers win the World Series than the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, but it's close. Like, I'm a huge Brewers fan. Like, I get the MLB ticket. I watch, more games. I'm not happy that they didn't win today. But yeah, and then in the Bucks, I remember as a kid, my mom and I had at the Bradley Center, they had it was called like 6-pack tickets, and we got like 6 tickets for the season. We sat like in the last row for certain games, and so we go to 6 games a year there, and so I've always liked the Bucks. It was kind of rough for a while when they weren't on TV a lot, but past 2 years have been pretty good too. I've been pretty lucky with that.
Have you been to Fiserv yet?
I have not been there yet. No, I really want to. My daughter wants me to take her up there. My daughter Stephanie's loves Giannis, the Greek freak, and she loves Brooke Lopez. Like, that's like her favorite player is Brooke Lopez. So I need to take her up there sometime.
Yeah. How old's your daughter?
She's 11.
Oh, you got some great memories to make there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. She loves them both. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah. I mean, it come up in like May, and you should be able to get a twofer at some point.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. At some point, getting up there and checking out both. She really wants to do that as well.
I mean, I'm with you. I love the Brewers. I think I was telling you before we started recording. I don't think I've been in a building that has sports events more than Miller Park / American Family Field, and that includes all the Fort Hays State, college places. I've always loved baseball, and the Brewers were a really easy team to get into. I moved up here in 2008, so I got to see CC Sabathia pitch in that run where they made the first playoff appearance. I got to go to one of the playoff games where they ended up unfortunately getting knocked out by the Phillies, but I think everybody kind of saw that one coming. 2011, that season, oh my God, that was just one of the best sports years ever, because I think I went to probably 40 of the home games that year. Had a lot of connections just through work. I ended up seeing game 1 of the D-back series with the Nyjer Morgan walk-off hit to end the game or whatever. I was in a sweet box behind home plate for that one. So a lot of fun Brewer memories. I truly thought that was the year they were going to get it.
Yeah, me too. That's the one game that I wish, everybody says, what game would you want to go to in history that you never went to? You didn't get to go to it. I'm like, besides the 80 Olympic hockey game, I think the Nyjer Morgan walk-off hit would have been the game I want to go to.
Yeah. No, it was awesome. I've gotten the fortune of being able to see, a lot of good Brewer and Bucks games over the time. I was able to go to one of the finals games the year they won. I saw the one with the Giannis block at the end.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, really, truly am not trying to run this in, but I'd love for you to make it up and hit some Brewers and Bucks games, and we could definitely link up.
Yeah, no, definitely. That'd be awesome. I would love that. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah. All right. So I think where we're all four unified is there's a lot of KU fandom up in here.
Yeah, that's right.
So how often do you make it to those games being local?
I usually, football games, it's hard for me to get to with my daughter and son's schedules of when they were playing sports all the time. I usually I try to go to like 2 or 3 basketball games a year if I can. I didn't get to go to one this past year, and then they win it all. So maybe I need to stay away. But I try to go there as much as I can. I like going to Lawrence. We usually, when we go up there, we'll try to go to Free State beforehand, have a meal there, maybe go there afterwards. Just drive around, check out where we used to live, and I love going to the games there. And that is one of the coolest stadiums, or arenas or whatever in the country. I love it.
Yeah, no, that
last week.
Yeah, that run was incredible. Chris and I got to watch the national championship together. The KU Alumni Association has graciously taken me in as one of their own, even though I didn't take a class on campus ever. But I'm as big of a fan as you can find. I've been a Jayhawk fan since I could walk. It was just one of those things that was always there. But we were able to watch that title game, which was incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you can always represent me since I'm not there. Just say, I'm here for Dan.
There you go. I think I'm going to start doing that moving
Class of
forward,
97.
Yeah. Class of 97.
I'll get a hold of Jay and I'll let Jay know on that one. So.
Oh, Daniel,
yeah.
Daniel, like this, I was on Mass Street during the run to the championship. And so the night that we got into the Final Four, we're watching it I was at Red Lion, and we went out, we stormed Mass, we got the Final Four. And then my wife and I go out again, Final Four game. Then we go to Jazz House to watch it there because everything's packed and no one can up there, right? And then they win, we storm again. And by the last night, okay, this is it. And we look at each other like, I don't think I can do another one. I'm so exhausted. You have to stand the whole game, and then you run out there, and it's just a bunch of young college kids. It's like, we could do this for 5 more hours. I'm like, I gotta go to bed. I'm tired of this. But
I'm sleepy.
Yeah, I'm old, and I'm carrying around like twice as much weight as I did whenever I was in college. So I need to put this in bed. but yeah, no, it's always crazy. And now there's like drones. There's drones everywhere. Like during this stuff, back in 2008, they didn't have any drones, or anytime we won anything there, it's just like. But now, when we win a big thing like that, now you're looking around like there's like 5 or 6 drones flying by you, and so it's quite the experience these days. And everyone wants to be like going viral for whatever reason. So yeah, people like. Well, I guess there was crazy shenanigans going on as well, probably when the people would storm Mass, but like now people dressing up in costumes and like taking, shopping carts and trying to like parade around themselves and to do all this nonsense. But yeah, it is quite the experience.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I feel like you always see a unicycle on Mass Street at all times. There's always someone on a unicycle, and I'm sure there was at the parade.
I've seen unicycles, but now the big thing is one wheels. There's like a couple dudes who drive one wheels. They're actually kind of ticking me off lately because they almost ran into me like twice. I'm turning into a crotchety old man too, like get off my lawn style, like get off the sidewalk. But that's the big thing these days. But yeah, I've seen unicycles. There's an accordion player who I like. The big thing right now because everyone like just complains about the accordion player. So I guess it could be worse though. It could be a bagpipe player, which I've seen a lot worse. But yeah, that's great that you make it down here too. And my favorite game to go to is probably around when Christmas break. Like last time I went to that was, I think it was Texas last time, and it's always like half price tickets. That's the one I usually go to.
Yeah, it's not hard to get. Yeah, the students are gone. It's pretty reasonable.
It's also like snowy outside usually on that time too, and they're like, all right, half price tickets, let's go.
Brian, I got a quick question for you. You're not complaining about the accordion player, are you?
You know what? I'm starting to complain a little bit. He doesn't have any ethics. Not a big fan of his ethics. You know why? What do I mean? What do I mean by that? I mean, there's some outdoor patio areas with the accordion where he'll just like stand right next to it. Like I think he'll be rubbing the squeeze box in someone's face trying to eat, and it's loud. And like you need to give them some space. Like you can go cat a corner. You can give them, I would say like a good at least like 500 feet, because but he'll stand like right in front of people, in front of like Global Cafe or out front in front of, like, now you can sit outside at Mad Greek, or they've expanded the thing because of COVID, and just like belted out the things. So I don't like this person's ethics. I'm complaining a little bit on that. Yes, Josh, I am.
Brian, why on earth do you have so many opinions on accordion player ethics?
Okay, so I used to play the accordion on Mass Street to make money, because back when I was broke, actually, Tanya, my wife, she said she always loved that because we would be watching television, and I'd be there with her friends. This happened at Jayhawk Towers. Actually, this really happened where we're just watching TV. We're all bored. We're all broke, and I go, I have an idea. I'll be right back. I go out and I busk for an hour and a half to 2 hours, make $60, come back. Okay, we got money. Let's go drinking. And we went and find, because I was followed the drink specials, and you go find the cheapest place to buy booze and like $10, I don't know, a $5 pitchers of beer. But yes, I used to busk. I don't think I'm being hypocritical though, because I did have ethics. I didn't hover next to somebody trying to enjoy their food and force them to listen to my presence.
Yeah, you didn't force them to listen to your cover of "Low" by Flowrider.
Flowrider, yeah, Flowrider.
That was Brian's best accordion song.
yeah. But yes, Dan, I've busked on Mass Street before. That was a big part of my income. But yeah, no, it's between that and yeah, I get it was just another way to make money. But nowadays, guess I could have streamed it live. And nowadays, all the kids can like do things online and stream stuff and get tips on their PayPals and crap. I should probably do that again and put like my PayPal QR code up there.
Yeah, you probably get nothing because the kids like Venmo more. Anyway, Dan, you mentioned stopping at the Free State Brewery, and Kansas breweries are another interest of yours, right?
Yeah. So you talked about how the Chiefs gig kind of landed in my lap. I used to write about Kansas beer for a magazine called Southwest Brewing News, because I had rated the breweries on, I think it was either Beer Advocate or Rate Beer. I forget which one, or maybe probably both, to be honest with you. And someone gave me a call and they said, "Hey, we're from the Southwest Brewing News. We have a sponsor for Kansas and we're going to start covering Kansas. Would you want to start writing for us?" And I was like, okay, we need 750 words by Sunday. I was like, and this is on a Friday, they called me. I'm like, well, I'm headed out to my sister-in-law's rehearsal dinner and her wedding is tomorrow. I said, I don't know if I can get it to you by Sunday. And they're like, well, can you get it to us by Monday? I'm like, I'll get you something by Monday. So I just wrote about at the time, I mean, I don't know how many breweries. I think there's like maybe 77 or a ton of breweries in Kansas now. When I wrote about them back in like 2008 to like 2011, there were 11 breweries. There were either 10 or 11 breweries in the whole state. And so, I got to write about them all. Like it was, I wrote about all of them every week or every other month. So I write about Free State and Blind Tiger and Gella's Liquid Bread in Hayes. Met some people in Wichita. Cheney, Kansas had a little brewery called Hanka's Wiser. That was, two of my favorite people to talk to were Hank and his son Steve. They were fun. My friend Dan Norton, he was the head brewer at River City Brewing Company. Now he owns his own brewery in Wichita called Norton Brewing Company. So yeah, I just kind of, I got to go around. I didn't get paid a lot to write the article because it was only every other month, but like once a year they would pay for me to like go to Hayes. So I would go to Hayes, get a hotel room, and they would cover my gas and hotel expenses. And it was kind of fun, hanging out in a brewery in Hayes. It's pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So I just did that for a while.
What hotel did you normally stay at?
Whatever was cheap. I'm sure it was like the Days Inn or the Sleep Inn or something. I didn't get the Ritz-Carlton Hayes.
Well, there isn't one. Brian and I used to work at some of those hotels.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we dabble in the hotel experience. Yeah. I like the idea of. I'm trying to find your reviews right now online. Are they still on there? So I want to check them out.
They might be. It would be under Dan's Thing.
Dan's Thing.
Dan's Thing. Like get rid of the KER in my last name and combine it into one word. And
like Sting the wrestler.
Yeah,
who's on AEW right now.
Yeah. But one word, Dan Sting. I think that's what my name was on there. But I mean, yeah, my review, I like anything, you read something that you wrote online 5-10 years ago, you're embarrassed.
Oh yeah,
I'd be pretty embarrassed.
I gotta see this. We gotta go deep dive. I got to
Well,
deep dive into this.
So let's ask this. What are your 3 favorite breweries and what are your 3 favorite beers from any Kansas brewery?
I would have to say, you have to say Free State. It was the first. And when I went
Sure.
to KU, uh, in Kansas, you couldn't buy beer on Sundays unless you bought it from a brewery. So, we would watch the first game on NFL Sunday. We watched the first game on Sunday and we were like, oh, we're out of beer. We need to go to Free State to get some growlers of beer to bring back. So we would do that. So I love Free State. Uh, Gellas and Hayes is amazing. They do really good stuff. I mean, they won GABF medals like their first year. Uh, they were Gerald when he ran it did a great job. I know Matt, who works for I think Defiance now.
Yeah.
They did great work. They made good stuff. Defiance is pretty good too. I was always a big fan of my friend. Like I said, I mentioned my friend Dan Norton. He at which River City Brewing Company. He always had some kind of funky beers on certain events. I would go down there and try his stuff. I haven't been to Norton Brewing Company yet. I've had some beers of his brought back, and they're really good. Uh, so those are the ones that I always think of first. I know you said 3. There's a brewery called Limitless in Lenexa, which is really close to where I live.
Yeah.
That I'm a huge fan of. Like they make really good beers, and I go there when I can. It's pretty good. If I had to say my 3 favorite beers from Kansas, I'm gonna say ones that you can get at the liquor store because,
Sure.
I would, Old Bacchus from Free State would be amazing, but you can't get that. But their barley wine, or that is the Old Bacchus is the barley wine from Free State, and you can get it in bottles. That's really really good. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Limitless has a beer called Joko Juice, which I'm not a huge fan of the name, but it's a hazy IPA and it's really really good.
Yep.
Those 2 for sure. Uh, I'm trying to think of the third one. There's the Blind Tiger in Topeka. It's been a while since I've been there, but they made some really good like my box, and I
Yeah.
kind of at certain times of the year, like when they come out, I love a good Maibach, and they had a really good Maibach at River State. So I'd probably say, or at Blind Tiger. So I'd probably say those 3. I haven't had a lot of Norton Brewing Company's beers. Gella's, it's been a little bit since I've had it, but there's a lot now. Like it's there was none in Johnson County before where I live. There was none before, and I want to say there's like 5 within maybe a 10-minute drive of my house. So it's kind of nice.
Your highest rating on your ratebeer.com is called Boulevard Irish Ale. It's red ale. Styles Red Ale Irish. So I'm here right here. I'm on your forum.
Tasty beer.
You reviewed that in 2004, by the way.
So let me ask you about one. I know that they're on their 2nd iteration and it's totally not the same thing. And I also know that I'm going to bring up the Forbidden Town. But what were your thoughts on Tallgrass out of Manhattan?
I like Tallgrass a lot. The guy that owned it was really nice to me. We actually, a buddy, 2 of my friends and I went to the grand opening there. Whenever they came out, they made really good beers. I think they started making like every beer seemed like it was a fruit beer. Like they made I mean, when they made like their 8-bit pale ale.
8-bit was my favorite beer.
Yeah, it was great. And then like all of a sudden they're like, I'm probably making this stuff up, but it was like, here's a key lime, wheat, and that they made all these and I can't stand raspberry. They made like the raspberry beers. I think I like them. I even like the Little Apple Brewing Company. That was a little brew pub there too. I like that place too. So I don't have a problem with their beers. I don't hate K-State either.
I mean, what you said is exactly what all the people I know that live in Manhattan that loved that place until they didn't and just don't think it's the same thing now said. I mean, they said the exact same thing. So I don't think you made anything up. I mean, back in the day, 8-bit and Buffalo Sweat were, as good a beer as you could find. And I mean, those are the opposite ends of the spectrum. You have a great vanilla porter and you also have a great hazy, or not hazy, super hoppy pale ale. I mean, yeah, 8-bit was my absolute favorite until it went away. I was pretty disappointed, because you could go to like the Woodman's markets up here in this area had a pretty big beer selection, or a place called Ray's Wine and Liquor in Wauwatosa, while we're giving some shout outs here. But yeah, I'm with you. I love a good Maibach once a year. I mean, Sprecher is my favorite one. Just to
I love Sprecher.
throw one out that I know that you're a fan of.
Yeah, and even their flagship tall grass ale was really good. Like, it was like their first beer they came out with. It was really good. It was a good, for what the style was, it was really good. They just, for whatever reason, they started just trying to branch out and make stuff that just wasn't didn't interest me. But yeah,
Sure.
Buffalo Sweat and 8-bit were amazing, I thought.
Yeah,
Drank a lot of Buffalo Sweat in the 2015 baseball playoffs, to the point where it became a superstition. The only time I didn't go through a 4-pack of Buffalo Sweat was Game 3 of the World Series, when they lost to Syndergaard. So I frantically tried to find it for Game 4, because they stopped selling it in the stores. So I actually had to go find it. They sold it in River West here in Milwaukee, and I got a growler of it. But
oh, the filling station.
it was at the filling station. Yep.
Yeah, I love that place. Nice. All right, so
Yep.
now that we're geeking out on beer bars, all right, so let's get into the next topic. Of all the sports that you're involved with, there's one that I think you spend a lot of time actually playing. You're a bowler, right?
I do bowl, yeah. I didn't bowl for a while. So when I was a kid, growing up in East Troy, my parents got me in the bowling alley, the Lee Shore in East Troy. We would bowl there every Saturday morning. I bowled there for a while. Then when I went to college at KU, I took bowling as a class, and that was pretty fun. And we would do it on occasion. And then when we moved to Overland Park, my brother-in-law Don, who helped me get the job at the Chiefs, he's a really good bowler. Like multiple 300 games. He's really, really good. And my father-in-law, they were like, "Do you want to be on our bowling team?" And I'm like, I haven't really bowled much in a while. And they're like, "Well, it's fun. Just come bowl." So I bowled with them, and so I bowled probably for about 10 years. I took a little bit of a break when my kids' schedules got kind of crazy, and then about 3 years ago, they were like, "You want to bowl with us again?" I'm like, I'll bowl again. So I started bowling again just a few years ago, and it's pretty fun.
Got the men's league night. Yeah, I'm on a current hiatus, but I've been in the bowling before. So what's your best game?
I bowled a 279 once.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
That was close. Earlier this year I bowled like a 264, which I was pretty proud of, because I haven't bowled that great, but I bowled pretty well a few weeks ago. But I think 279 is my high. Yeah.
For any non-bowlers out there, there's only one way to get that, and it's to throw 1-9 spare in not the 10th frame, and then throw 11 strikes. So
yep. Yeah, that's what I did. Yep.
Yeah,
I had my best series. My series was a 720, so I was pretty happy about that. Like, I bowled good the other games as well, but yeah. And I remember that pin just kind of wobbling, and didn't fall for me.
I think somewhere in the 260s is my best bowling game. I want to say 268, but on the duck pin bowling, I threw a 279 one time. This was like 6 months ago, and the pin totally like wobbled, and I would tell you right now that it fell over and stood back up. But yeah, I was throwing rocks that one, but but yeah. So no, that's interesting. So you've bowled with a lot of different people in tournaments and leagues. Who's the most interesting player you've ever bowled with?
You guys will like this. So about like last April, it was a Friday night, and I was sitting on my couch having a couple of these.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was on Twitter, and I saw a tweet from McCole Hardman, and he said, "We're in town. We're in KC. Can I get bowling balls?" And I just replied, "You should go to Total Bowling Gear at 105th and Metcalf and tell them that." And I added my brother-in-law Don. Tell him that Don sent you. And I thought nothing of it. So later on, I just sent a text to my brother-in-law, and I was like, "Hey, just so you know, I just told Michael Hardman to reach out to you. I'm sure he's not going to, but he's going to reach out to you about bowling." So not too much longer, he goes, he sent me a text. He goes, "Holy crap, he's texting me. I'm supposed to meet him tomorrow at Total Bowling Gear to go bowling." So I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." So so the next day he went to Total Bowling Gear and was like helping him pick out bowling balls and things like that. And he sent me a text and he goes, "What are you doing today?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm at a kid's baseball game." Why? He's like, "I'm meeting McCole at Ward Parkway Lanes at 4 o'clock, and you need to come up here and bowl with us." Like, okay, I'll come bowl with McCole Hardman, the Chiefs
Apparently that.
all pro. Yeah, the Pro Bowl player for the Chiefs. I'll be there with. So I went up there. There was maybe a group of like 11 of us. We bowled for a while, and what you think he would be. He's really competitive. I ended up bowling. I've never bowled this many games before in my life. I ended up bowling 7 games with him. He's like, "You want to bowl another one?" Cole Hardman wants to bowl another game with me. Okay, I'm not going to say no. So I stayed there for like 4 hours bowling 7 games with him, and it was so much fun. And then like later on, my brother-in-law got his number, and eventually a few of us got his number, and he'd be like, "Hey, I'm in town. You guys want to come bowling at Park Lanes, or you want to come bowling at Olathe Lanes East?" And we were like, "Okay, let's go bowling." So so we would bowl them for a while. And then last summer, I was in a youth adult league with my 2 kids and my father-in-law, and my father-in-law was out of town for some reason. And my daughter went up to Don and goes, "You want to ask McCole if he wants to sub for granddad on next week's league?" And he's like, "I'll ask him." And then like an hour later, he's like, "Yep, I'll be there." So he bowled with my kids and me in a league. And then we kind of joked with him later. We're like, "Do you want to bowl in our men's league in the fall?" And he's like, "Yeah, I can do that. I'll be there when I can." So he's actually on our bowling team now. So we actually like our bowling team has Mo, and he actually bowled with them when he was in town for the OTAs. He bowled with us on our Thursday night summer league. So, and when he comes back, he's probably gonna bowl with us again. But that's pretty much, it's kind of cool, I think.
No, that's incredible. And the key takeaway I'm hearing is that don't joke about bowling with McCole Hardman. He's gonna take you up on it every time.
Yeah, no, and he's it's the Chiefs podcast, so he's the guy you want him to be. Like he's the nicest person. He's friendly, he's funny. I find myself always saying yes sir, no sir, because he always says yes sir. Like he's like got that southern style of yes sir, yes sir. So I catch myself saying it too. Yeah, he's great, and yeah, he's my bowling teammate.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, hopefully he gets to stay that way, because he has a blow up season and plays his way into a next contract. I mean, I think the best case scenario for the Chiefs wide receiving core is if he ends up being the number 1 undisputed guy, and I'm truly hoping that happens. And hearing you say that he's as cool as you'd want him to be, I mean, that's just any more reason to say that.
Yeah, my brother and I always joke, we're like, I hope he's on the team, until like 2029, 2030 season. We want him to be here forever, because he's just, he's a good guy, and he's a good player when he gets his opportunities. I think he makes plays. I'm definitely biased, but we don't win. I still to this day, and this is before I knew him, I would always say we don't win the Super Bowl if he doesn't get that kick return when we're down 24-0 against Houston. Like that changed everything in that playoff game. If you didn't get that kick return, so I was a fan of his way back then, and now I just,
Yeah. No, when that kick return happened, some of the guys in our watch party group started buying tickets for the AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
Which I was able to go to, which was great.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you guys come down here, we'll have to meet up too.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. No, I fully intend on hitting an Arrowhead game this year. So you'll certainly be somebody that I get in touch with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, keep track of our Arrowhead Kingdom website. We're going to be doing road game tailgates for all 9 of the games. I mean, you can't tailgating happens in like 3 places. But we're gonna be having parties in all of those places. So I think that'll be super cool. This will be a good year to go to Chiefs road games. I think I'm gonna be the personal host for Cincinnati. We currently don't have an officially recognized watch party, so I'm gonna fix that in December.
Yeah, well, that might be one I can hit. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely keep in touch about that. All right, so to wrap everything up, the way we always end our shows is we have a last tag where you can talk about anything you want. I know that I didn't give you a heads up on that. We try to get this to be somewhat raw. But since Brian and Chris and I all know that, I will give Chris the opportunity to go first because he's normally the best prepared of any of the three of us for really anything.
I take that as a great compliment, Josh. Yeah, I do got something. So it's been a few weeks since the NBA draft, but the careers, I guess the collegiate careers of Christian Brown and Ochai Agbaji have now taken into the NBA. So for those who don't know, Ochai was taken 14th overall by the Cavs, and Christian was taken 21 overall by the Nuggets, which honestly was I think a really big surprise. He was kind of a fringe first rounder, but you know, the reason why it's so cool for a person like me is I grew up in Kansas City. You know, these are two guys that at least played high school ball, both in the Kansas City area. They both, you know, spent at least 3 years playing collegiately at KU, and then they ended up cutting down the nets. So I just thought that was really cool to see both of them getting drafted. Just, you know, I think 14 is still a lottery pick if I remember right, but seeing Christian get a first round draft pick was a really, really nice surprise.
Yeah, no, Braun was not a lottery pick, but Agbaji was.
Yeah, so 14 is still okay.
Yep. Brian, you got anything for us?
Let me think. The first thing that comes to my mind is I went to the Lawrence Outdoor Aquatic Swimming Pool today for the first time in my 18 years on and off living here in Lawrence. I took my 5-year-old son because it's 1,000,000 degrees here, and we needed something to do outside, and that's what you do during the summertime. I completely forgot. It's been a while since I've been to a public swimming pool. You know, obviously when we're kids, we go there all the time. Then I took a long lull because I didn't really go very often as in my teenage and my 20s or anything like that. And then now I'm back there and just realized technology's come a long ways. A lot more slides and boards and a lot more fun. Now it's kind of a fun time. They have splash pads now, unlike the Hayes, Kansas swimming pool, the municipal pool here in Lawrence. They have a quite a nice experience here for anyone in the area in Lawrence, Kansas. Great swimming pool experience. There's also an indoor one on the other side of town. I live on the east side of Lawrence. So I guess that's my final take while I'm thinking about it. Is I'm going to review the pool. Good pool. Highly recommend. It does a good job cooling you off, and highly recommend while it's still open.
Got it. All right, Dan, you have anything, or am I putting you too much on the spot?
No, I thought about it. So 2 quick things. My son is a college freshman. He just started college in May 31st was his first day of college. He went to Ole Miss, and ever since he went to Ole Miss, they ended up winning the College World Series, which was kind of cool. So he was at school for less than a month before his school won a national championship. So I was pretty proud for my son, Will. They got to go there and go to the parade, and he had a good time. And then this is a big deal. I'm an assistant coach for my daughter's softball team. They're like a 5th grade softball team, and they play for the championship tomorrow night, the Bombers. So look out for the Bombers tomorrow night. We got a big game. My daughter's pitching first, so look out, Wolves. The Bombers are coming.
That's awesome. Yeah, Wolves are going down, and that's awesome. So how does it? It's hotty toddy, gosh almighty.
Yeah.
For Ole Miss,
I have a hotty toddy shirt usually, but.
Yeah, hotty toddy. One of my choir directors in college was from Mississippi originally, and he went to school at Ole Miss. So before we would go out to do performances, he would have us do a hotty toddy that he brought up. I was always pretty amused by that. So I got kind of an interesting one. I've recently, for my primary day job, switched industries, and I'm in the water pumping world. And one of the things that you would never think of as a tourist situation, but it's actually something you can do in Milwaukee. You can go to the water treatment plant in Milwaukee. It's called Jones Island, and it's right next to Summerfest. It's also happening. And so you can go through the engineering tour and see how all the water for like 1.5 million of the 2 million people that live in the Milwaukee metro area gets processed, and you can walk through the place, and it's a fascinating facility to see how wastewater is dealt with. But the one thing that I'll just repeat that they say is that if you take nothing else from this tour, it's that don't put any wipes down the toilet. don't flush paper towels, don't flush wipes. It's the worst possible thing you can do. Yeah, the worst thing that they've seen that they talk about is like shopping carts that have popped out and stuff like that. But the type of things that are going to take down water infrastructure in major municipal areas are going to be things like reusable masks, disposable masks, since the COVID thing happened. But prior to that, it was always things like plastic bags and, wipes. And so anytime you see something that says it's a flushable wipe, anything that fits down the toilet is flushable. I remember a college place that I lived in where my roommate flushed a pair of sunglasses. Didn't mean that Roto-Rooter wasn't showing up to take them out of the sewer line, but just because something goes down the drain, that makes it flushable, it doesn't make it a good idea. So keep your stuff out of the drain and keep water safe.
I like it. This is some great advice. And
Yes.
I remember saying that when I was shopping, I think it was a Walmart, and I said, I think I was walking with my wife, and I was like, I saw flushable wipes. First time I ever saw that, and I was like, bullshit. I was just cussing, not buying that, not using that, terrible idea, not doing it. So
No, and
yeah,
you're right. I mean,
I don't believe
and to get even more specific, the person who gave the tour said there's really three things that go down the toilet, and they all start with P. And it's papers and toilet paper, and you know what the other two are. So,
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it. So thanks again to Dan for being on here with us tonight. This is a fun conversation.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Dan.